What's up, everybody? Today is April 9th, 2021, and a pretty big news story in the media today. We got news of the death of Prince Philip, the consort of the United Kingdom, the husband of Queen Elizabeth. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into the numerology of this event. And what makes this so interesting to me is that back in January, long before Philip went to the hospital and fell ill, I made a post saying that we were likely to see something involving the royal family on the date April 12th. Now, yes, I was wrong. I was off by 3 days. We'll talk about how the number 3 is heavily coded into this event in a little bit. But what's also interesting about this is that the reason I made this whole connection to April 12th and the royal family was because of a NFL football game. This one involving the Green Bay Packers and their NFC title loss. So many people with the middle name Charles and King, and it became apparent to me that there was definitely something coded for April 12th. Well, here we are on April 9th, getting the death of Prince Philip instead. So, first of all, let's look at the basic numerology of today's date, April 9th. Or, as it's written in the United Kingdom, 9/4. Consider how Queen Elizabeth, the wife of Prince Philip, is currently 94 years old. The phrase death of Prince Philip equals 94. So does the word dead. But again, the reason I was looking at this date in the first place was because of the NFL. And in this video, we're going to talk about how the death of Prince Philip is connected to the shutdown of the Big Ben clock tower. Now, if you're a football fan, you know that there's a football player with the nickname Big Ben. And we're going to talk about how this whole event is connected to the numerology of Ben Roethlisberger. Ben played one career game in London in the shadow of Big Ben. And the numbers of that game are going to blow you away too. So, yeah, we'll get there in a minute, but let's stick with some of the more basic stuff. In reduction, Prince Philip sums to 81. Now, 81 has a square root of 9, so it's 9 times 9. Philip has died on the 99th day of the year. And, of course, as it's being reported, he's 99 years old. Now, in numerology, the number 99 is closely linked to 13. The number 13, when spelled out, is the only number in the alphabetic order to sum to 99. Philip's death fell a span of 13 days before his wife, the Queen's, birthday. Today is also a span of 1 month and 3 days after the infamous Harry and Meghan interview, which kind of rocked the royal family and has been in the news ever since. But the number 63 is also very significant to this. Notice how Prince Philip sums to 63 in the other reduction method in reverse. This is similar to the Jewish or Latin gematria of Duke of Edinburgh, which gives us a 630. The name Phil even sums to 63. Philip became the consort of the British monarchy on February 6th. That was the date that Queen Elizabeth ascended to the throne. Well, today is a span of 63 days after that date. He also died a span of 63 days before his birthday. And notice how the number 63 has double gematria of 54, like today's numerology. Philip died in Windsor Castle, which sums to 54. Something else that sticks out about these dates is that if you do not include the end date, you get 62 days. And that's the gematria of the word queen. Number very relevant to the queen. She was born in the year 26, ascended to the throne on 2/6. Her coronation was on 6/2, June 2nd. Now, this event is connected to the total solar eclipses that are crossing the United States of America. And the reason we know that is because the Big Ben clock tower, which is essentially the ultimate marker of time the biggest time-related monument in the developed world. Big Ben is currently shut down, and the date that this shutdown occurred was August 21st of 2017. That was the date of the first Great American Total Solar Eclipse that swept across the United States. And already, the parallels here with the eclipse code are obvious. This was the first coast-to-coast eclipse in the United States in 99 years. Remember, 99 is a big number to this event, as we discussed at the beginning of this video. In fact, the United States of America has this gematria of 99 as well. So if you measure from the date of the first eclipse and the shutdown of the Big Ben clock tower, notice how it's been exactly 3 years and 33 weeks since that date. Well, in Gematria, Big Ben sums to 30 and 33 in reduction. The word eclipse also summing to 33. And remember, Big Ben is in England, which sums to 30 and 33. Now remember, my prediction was off by 3 days. I pointed out how April 12th was significant. So it's pretty interesting to me that 3 days before April 12th is 3 years, 33 weeks after the first eclipse. And then, what was the other 33 here? Well, I guess you get the tie into Big Ben. I'll connect this in a minute, but what also stands out, right? If you measure to that eclipse, 8/21 of 2017, you also get 189 weeks. This is the gematria of both Prince Philip and Windsor Castle, where he died. Also notice how Windsor Castle was designated as a monument on October 2nd, and that falls 189 days before Philip's death. So next I want to talk about the connection to Big Ben Roethlisberger, as this one is very, very clear when you look at the numbers. Now, the numerology connecting Ben Roethlisberger to the royal couple is actually pretty amazing. First, consider Ben Roethlisberger's age today, the date that Prince Philip died. He's currently 39 years and 39 days old. Well, in the standard alphabetic order, the nickname Big Ben equals 39. Furthermore, his full name, Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger Sr., equals 309. Now, Roethlisberger played one game in London, where the Big Ben clock tower is, and he was 390 lunar phases old for that game. And as we'll see, Big Ben is heavily connected to the moon and this eclipse code. In fact, the word eclipse in reverse has this gematria of 39, like Big Ben. All right, so if you measure from the birthday of Prince Philip to Big Ben Roethlisberger, you get this interesting number, 22,180. And in the middle of that number is 218. Well, 218 is the Hebrew gematria for moon. And remember, the first American eclipse was on the 21st of August, or 21/8. Now, another reason the number 13 is connected to the moon, consider how the word moon is spelled. It starts with the 13th letter, M. It ends with the 13th letter in reverse, N. It has matching gematria with the number 13, 99. And of course, there's 13 lunar phases every couple of years as part of the Metonic cycle. So 13 and 99 connected here. Also notice how 99 has matching gematria with moon. So we know the number 13 is very significant for the moon. Ben plays his professional football in Pittsburgh, which sums to 130. In fact, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania equals 103. And their team name is the Steelers, which sums to 103. So a lot of 13s here. And this game here that Big Ben played in London, where he lost to the Vikings back in 2013, this was his 130th career regular season game. Ben Roethlisberger has primary birth numerology of 106, like the number 106. Prince Philip was born on the date 10/6, the 10th of June. Notice how June 10th is the 161st day of the year? The last name Roethlisberger equals 161. Roethlisberger's birthday falls a span of 266 days after Prince Philip's birthday. And check out how Prince Philip died on the date that leaves 266 days on the calendar. Also, Big Ben wears number 7 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, number 7. And check out how the number 7 has matching 65 Gematria with Prince. Also in Jewish, Big Ben equals 65. So does Elizabeth, 650. And the team that he plays for, Pittsburgh Steelers, matches Prince Philip in reduction. The word tower, also 81. All right, now we're going to take a look at Ben Roethlisberger's career statistics and show you how he's completely coded for this event. And what we normally look at is their QB record. And right here, I mean, this is pretty amazing. Well, let's explain this. So Ben Roethlisberger is currently sitting on 156 career wins. 156. Now this is a highly significant number, one I talk about in many of my videos. The word eclipse in Hebrew sums to 156, and that's because eclipses always occur 1, 5, or 6 lunar phases after the last one. In English, eclipse of the sun, plane of the sun, 666, triple sixes, 33, all of this with 156 gematria. And notice how the phrase royal weddings equals 156. The death of Prince Philip was numerically connected to the two major royal weddings of his grandchildren, Prince William and Prince Harry, over the past decade. So royal weddings equals 156 and 1560. In Gematria, Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger Sr., his full name, sums to 156. He currently has 156 wins. And if you measure from the most recent royal wedding, which occurred on May 19th of 2018 to the death of Prince Philip, look at this. You get 1,056 days or 150 weeks and 6 days. You get that 156. But here's the real kicker. Consider the digits 156. Well, that second royal wedding was on the date 519. And you can turn the number 156 upside down to get 951, the same digits, right? So this royal wedding on 519, and Prince Philip died exactly 519 weeks after the first royal wedding, which was on April 29th of 2011. Exactly 519 weeks. Just like how William's brother gets married on 519. But we pointed out this 156 link with the royal weddings. The 156th prime number is 911, 911. And if you measure from the first royal wedding to the death of Prince Philip, you get 9 years, 11 months, or 119 months and 11 days. And that wedding was on the 119th day of the year. All right. Where to next? I guess there's so many connections with Ben Roethlisberger and the moon. We might as well finish these off. Roethlisberger's one game in London was 90 months, 11 days before Prince Philip's death. There's that 9/11 again. Also notice the 2,750 days. It was 211 days after Roethlisberger's birthday. These numbers are connected to 666. Greek prince, Prince Philip, a prince of Greece, 666, 66 and 60. Notice how number 7 has this gematria of 1197, which matches 666, and Prince Philip died in his final day of being 1197 months old. The phrase Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback sums to 423, just like the moon. And Prince Philip also has this 423 gematria. Now this connects us to the diameter of the moon. 2,160 miles sums to 423. And look at how Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback sums to 2160, like the number of miles in the moon. Now the width of the moon, when divided by the width of the Earth, I actually have this backwards, this equation here. But the moon is 0.272, the size of the Earth. And notice how Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger equals 272 in ordinal. His one game in London was on the 272nd day of the year. The name Ben equals 21. Philip was born in the year 21. He died in the year 21. And Roethlisberger has played 231 regular season games. That's the 21st triangular number. So another connection there. But to wrap this up, I want to talk about the big time riddle. And hopefully this part brings this whole ritual together. Again, this is all connected to Big Ben and the clock tower, the shutdown on the date of the Great American Eclipse. Now, when we look at the book of Revelation, like we did in our last video, I want to bring something really interesting to your attention here. What I did here is I filtered the book of Revelation to only verses that mention the word time. And notice the first verse that mentions time is Revelation 1:3. So we talked about how the number 13 was significant to this to start. Well, the last verse of Revelation that mentions the word time is the 393rd verse. So that's separated by 390, 39, like Big Ben, how he's 39 years and 39 days old. And the reason I really believe this is significant is because the way the word time is listed here. See, the first verse that mentions time says, "For the time is at hand," at the end. And the last verse that says time says, "For the time is at hand," at the end. And again, these are separated by 390 verses. Big Ben Roethlisberger, 390 lunar phases old when he played in London. So this is definitely connected to time, and this is where we're going to talk about the Revelation lunar eclipse. And to understand this, we got to go look at the King James Version of the Bible, the Masonic Bible. And there's one verse in Revelation that mentions both a solar and lunar eclipse. This is Revelation 6:12. Now, Revelation 6:12 sums to 526 and 2210. Next month, there is a big lunar eclipse on May 26th of 2021. And increasingly, with every news story we get as this eclipse nears, I am more and more convinced that this eclipse has to do with the book of Revelation and what they believe is prophesied, the return of Jesus. So, again, this riddle continues to solidify itself, and this 526 stood out to me right away. Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark, his birth name, sums to 526 in the reverse alphabetic order. Now we find out that he died 47 days before that big revelation eclipse. 47, huh? Well, the word time equals 47 in the alphabetic order. And this is what Big Ben is all about. In fact, the name Ben equals 47, which explains everything you need to know about this clock tower, because nobody really knows who the clock tower is named after. It even says here, the origin of the bell's nickname is open to question. Well, we know why. It's because Ben equals time, the number 47. There's something called the doomsday clock. You've probably heard about this. Every once in a while, they move it a little bit closer to midnight. And the doomsday clock was introduced in the year 47 because this is a significant number of time. In Jewish reduction, Revelation equals 47. Prince Philip, the husband of Elizabeth and Duke of Edinburgh, a couple of 47s there. What also stands out is how the number 47 is connected to Prince Charles. He was born on a date with 47 numerology, and it was the date leaving 47 days in the year. Now, in reduction, the phrase total eclipse equals 47, and Prince Philip dying 47 days before the revelation eclipse. This 47 days is also 1 month and 17 days, so I found it pretty funny that, we get this quarterback who's so aligned with it. And as far as time, something else worth exploring is satanic gematria, where time equals 187. The ultimate marker of a time is a total eclipse, which is 187. In the reverse alphabetic order, time equals 61. And notice how our buddy Ben Roethlisberger was born on the 61st day of the year. This is also the gematria of Elizabeth II. His birth numerology, 106, also matching Elizabeth II. Remember, Prince Philip born on the 10th of June. The number 61 also stands out in relation to time because the ultimate clock in the sky, the moon, sums to 283, which is the 61st prime number. So something that's pretty interesting here about Big Ben is that it was originally called Clock Tower. And look at the gematria of Clock Tower in Jewish. You get 1221. This is very similar to the name Ben, which equals 12 and 21 in standard gematria, reduction in ordinal, 1221. The clock tower's name was changed in 2012 to Elizabeth Tower, and this was celebrating the Diamond Jubilee of Elizabeth II. And from the date that the clock tower's name was changed to the date that Ben Roethlisberger first played in London was exactly 86 weeks, including the end date. And look at the word clock, 86. And as far as the 44, the date of that game had primary numerology of 44. So the number 44 is connected to time, as we can see, but so is the number 144. Not only does 44 equal 144, but the date written 4/4, April 4th, equals 144. And this game that Ben Roethlisberger played in London, it was his 47th career loss in his 144th game. So Big Ben plays one game in the shadow of Big Ben, and he loses his 47th career game in his 144th career game. All a time ritual. And now Prince Philip dying 47 days before the total eclipse, the big revelation eclipse. And the NFL, they love this numerology. there was this tweet that NFL UK sent out back in 2013 to promote Ben Roethlisberger's game in London. And notice how they posted this tweet on July 2nd, way before the game. But the date July 2nd is written 27 in England. The word tower equals 27 in both reduction methods. And remember how clock tower equals 1221, like Ben 1221? The clock tower's name was changed in the year 12 as a ritual to this big eclipse in the year 21. But there's a deeper occultic riddle to this tweet. Because if you measure from the date of this tweet to the date of the game that it was promoting, it was 2 months and 27 days. And in Hebrew, the phrase for total eclipse sums to 227. Remember, 22 divided by 7, the smallest equation you can get pi with on a calculator, this works in Gematria too, 314. A very significant number, this 227. There's 360 degrees in a circle, you get 227. But this number is really important to Roethlisberger because on the date of this big revelation eclipse on May 26th, he'll be exactly 14,330 days old. And 1433 is the 227th prime number. But on the date of this tweet itself, Roethlisberger was 11,445 days old. There's that 445 again. That's the Hebrew gematria of total lunar eclipse. He was also 31 years and 4 months exactly, bringing us back to pi, the word eclipse 314. And one thing I never touched on yet is that Roethlisberger also has 74 career losses. And 74, another number connecting to total solar eclipse. Elizabeth Tower, 74. And I always wondered, are they keeping Prince Philip alive? For years I've looked at this guy and just wondered, how in the world is this human being still walking the face of the planet? Like, I've never seen a human being with eyes this dead before. So, maybe all these old people that die at really old ages, maybe they really are keeping them alive somehow medically through something that they've figured out beyond standard medicine. I used to, kind of think that was more on the conspiracy side of things, but come on, guys, look at him. And he stays alive till 99, this perfect number for this entire thing. Oof, it's creepy. So, let's talk a little bit more about this quote-unquote revelation eclipse. And again, it's not to scare anybody. This is an amazing time in humanity. More amazing than any in previous generations. And the occult has been trying to clue us into this through numerology. A little over a year ago, they introduced this COVID-19 pandemic. And in our two primary large number ciphers, COVID-19 matches revelation. The virus was even first diagnosed on 12/1 in China and 1/21 in the United States. The word plague equals 293 in Jewish gematria. And 293 is also found in the value of coronavirus pandemic, 293. And the date that it was declared a pandemic or a national emergency was the date leaving 293 days of the year. That was March 13th or 1303, coronavirus 1303. Well, something else that equals 293 is revelation of Jesus Christ. 293. So is second coming of Jesus Christ. What about the return of Jesus Christ? Another 293. And then, of course, we get the 13 and the 31 with the 131, which connects us whole to the 1331 eclipse code. It's pretty phenomenal stuff. And, again, I'm not trying to exaggerate, not trying to put hyperbole out there. Not something I would ever do if I didn't really think this was super significant. Remember, on the date, the 29th of March, written 29/3, the Ever Given was birthed from the canal. After it was stuck for 6 days, the word canal equals 13 and 31. And the date that it got stuck in the canal had numerology of 13 and 31. So this eclipse on May 26th occurs on the 146th day of the year, which leaves 219 on the calendar. 146 is the reverse gematria of Jesus Christ. Return of Christ even equals 219. Oh, look at this, 227. Actually, it's I think it's second coming of Christ. It's one of these. There's a few ways you can write this out, right? So I'm not trying to say this number in particular is so significant, but when you see the same number pop up several times with the same type of phrase, then you know it's significant, like that 293. Using prime numbers, the word time equals 146. And this brings us to Charles, who is the Prince of Wales. And Prince of Wales equals 146 in ordinal. Well, Prince Philip died 146 days after Charles's birthday. Now, Prince Charles has some really interesting revelation numbers himself. First of all, consider how Revelation is the 66th book of the Bible. Revelation equals 149 and 49, just like 66 in Gematria. Now, there's 404 verses in Revelation, like the number 44, another number connected to time. In Jewish Gematria, Prince Charles equals 404. And notice how Prince Charles matches 66th book, both summing to 220 in Gematria. Philip died a span of 220 days before Prince Charles's birthday. Man, there's some other things that are pretty interesting to me. All right, I'll go ahead and I'll end the video with this. It's a little abstract, but hear me out. To me, this is really strong. I thought, okay, so we have the death of Prince Philip, and it's obviously strongly connected to the Big Ben clock tower. So why would they involve the clock tower in this event? So what I did is I measured from the date that the clock tower was completed, May 31st, 1859, to the birth of Prince Philip. And you get this interesting number, 22,655. And the number 265 is something I've been tracking a little bit lately. Jesus Christ of Nazareth, 265. And think about the date of this eclipse, the 26th of May, 26/5. Ben Roethlisberger was born 265 days after Prince Philip's birthday, that 265. This is also 266 days with the end date. And when you look at Jewish Gematria, you get this very intriguing 266. Remember, today, when Prince Philip died, it leaves 266 days in the calendar. So yeah, that's the bulk of what I wanted to share. There is some pretty simple numerology here when you look at the dates and connections to the Queen, but when you look at the clock tower riddle, it really blows it all apart with Big Ben. All right, here's one more let's look at, and then I'll seriously end the video. So when you measure from the date that Prince Philip was born to the date that he died, you get a span of 99 years and 10 months exactly. And this is like the number 991. 991 is the 167th prime number. And look at his name in reduction. 167. This 739 was also connected to Roethlisberger. 739 is the 131st prime number. So Prince Charles equals 131. So does Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger. Or is it just Benjamin Roethlisberger, 131? And Ben Roethlisberger was born on March 2nd or 3/2. And the 32nd prime number is 131. So, all right. Thanks, everybody, for popping in. Went a little long on this one, but I think it was worth it. Thanks to everybody for popping in, whether you're watching live or archived. All my work, these videos, any of the posts linked below in the description, everything's free to share, and everyone's encouraged to do so. So, all right. Peace, love, God bless. We'll talk to you next time, everyone. See ya.